Kumar Rakesh. You are watching Global Governance News TV. Today, we are going to discuss the human rights, politics, and global society. Human rights, when you talk about the human rights, then you understand what is a human rights in a society. Talk of human rights is currently nearly a, and we could just talk of the globalization. While globalization has been described as the most overused and underestimated term in the international policy sciences since the end of the Cold War, the same could reasonably be said of human rights. Human rights are the product of the immediate aftermath of World War II, and thus they developed in their contemporary form in the context of the Cold War. The philosophical and the political roots of human rights, of course, date back at least to the 17th and 18th centuries, and some would say even further to the Stoics of the ancient Greece. Globalization too has unfolded mainly in the late 20th century and has reached a position of prominence in the post Cold War context. At the juncture, according to popular perception, the spread of market capitalism, Western culture, and modern technology fit comfortably with the death of socialism and the end of history. But globalization too has roots that date back much early as it has been argued in the 14th century. During the past 2 decades, our important feature of globalization has been the unprecedented growth in the international non-governmental organization and the global social movements. Together, these groups are been described that comprise the new global civil society. When you're talking the civil society, politics automatically come in fray and just for the discussion. So without politics, we can't think, understand this the terminology human rights. And the human rights discourse has played the central role of articulating the challenge from the transitional non-state actors. So, if you go the and the other terminology, what is human rights? Just they belong to the human. Automatically, it already defined. So, I think we'll not go into the deep definition and the wordly meaning of human rights, but it is sometimes indivisible, interdependent, equal, and non-discriminatory rights and obligations are all already there if you see like that. And how the political rights are the civil and political rights, which are the human rights class of the rights of the protect individuals freedom from infringement by the government, social organization, and the private individuals. They ensure one's entitlement to participate in the civil and political life of society and a state without discrimination or repression. These rights also ensure the people's physical, mental integrity, life, safety, protection from discrimination on ground such as sex, race, sexual orientation, gender identity, national origin, color, age, political affiliation, ethnicity, religion, and disability. And the individual rights such as the privacy and the freedom of thought, speech, religion, press, assembly, and movement. Long history in 3 on 3, and so the 15th century protection rights. Many the civil rights activists we know, but define the international human rights instruments such as 948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights, uh, UDHR, and the 1966 International Covenant on the Civil and Political Rights has been just adopted. Other rights also just include that social movements of civil rights we can discuss, and the problem analysis. How does this that word affect our global society, our politics, as well as the current affairs? Just we can see, we can connect with the how the violation of human rights Taliban. All affairs include that. So I start from the Anita ji. Just one thing I just want to share all of you. We have just uh, uh, programs schedule has been just changed. We have just fixed for the 35 minutes. So I think we have just take the 3 and 4 and the panelists. So first panelist speak for the 3 minutes, after then 2 minutes, and for 2 and 3 minutes. So it is already we are just learner people, so we'll just stick for the time management, so we can just try to understand. We can just finish our talks just for the continuous talk within the time frame of 35 minutes. So that's now fluid to all. So Anita ji, just starting with 3 minutes, 2 minutes, and 2 minutes and 3 minutes. Last time we can discuss this in we need the time also. So each speaker 8 to 9 minutes. So we can share the 35 minutes like that. We all are professional. Anita ji, thank you.
Can you please repeat your question, because in 35 minutes we forget what was the question actually.
No, I don't know. Actually, I actually so nicely. My question was, how does you define the human rights and politics in the global society with reference to the India, that is the Bharat?
Actually, I will speak about Indian
Yeah,
society
yeah, no
and
problem.
the role of judiciary uh, and the role of our the parliamentary bodies. So, if we will talk about the role of judiciary nowadays, uh, it's a very much fact that police role has always under question because of various reasons. Some caste factor also works within police society, and if we will talk, the regional factors also matters. The kind of law we have, that is also one of the factor that gives so too much of liberty to the police, to the this police of this country, and the police always want to take advantage of that. This is one of the fact. But the thing is that the CRPC and IPC of India has defined the role of police, that what they have to do and how they can do it. And if in every judgment or in every hearing, if the Supreme Court will pass the observation or guideline, so it may create a very confusing kind of a situation in the hierarchy of police. Uh, we all know the parliament has a right to pass the uh, act and or law, and the Supreme Court has a role to define that law. But nowadays Supreme Court is taking advantage, and they are not using their special power and giving command to the government that go and made a law like this, which we are defining, which we are putting some kind of certain definition under that. You go and uh, structure a law. They just pressurizing government by giving some kind of sweeping statement and observation and guidelines. So we cannot do this. The kind of statement Supreme Court has given, it is very much clear that in lower court, in Indian's lower court, the court says that if you will for submitting the charge sheet, you have to do arrest, you have to go through the arrest, and then you will do the interrogation, and then you will put the charge sheet. But Supreme Court is saying that if that person is cooperating, and that person is not so harmful, and that person is not like that, he will flee away, then you can give him liberty or her liberty and don't arrest him. Who will decide that that person will not take advantage? And what will happen to the charge sheet? How the police will file the charge sheet? So the thing is, the Supreme Court should think over that how we do the police moral policing of the police force, instead of giving such kind of sweeping statement which doesn't actually practical and functional. Thank you.
So nice of you. Vandana ji, how just you define the human rights politics with reference to America?
Namaste and good evening to everybody. As you mentioned, it's a subject like, sometimes the human rights, when we see it, it looks like to be a biggest joke. Because when we talk about human rights, it should be applicable to all the humans, no caste, no color, no creed.
Yeah,
But when it
you're
has
right.
been seen as the convenience that let that be in US, let that be in Bharat also, let's put it this way. So that is not fair. And actually, we are making the mockery of this particular phrase itself, human rights. We should just get this rid of it, to be honest. We just saw what has happened. I'm just going to talk in the context of America itself. Let's talk, you know, we saw last year in my own city of Chicago, in the name of Black Lives Matters, everywhere. And then I am seeing the protest in India for the Black Lives Matters. What the hell is this going on? When things are happening in Bharat, are we seeing those kind of things? I want it should be like, this has to come from some authority like this. Every life matters. And that has been my slogan from day one, from minute one till the end of my life. I always say, for us, we come from that Sanskriti where my mother has taught me, like, even if ant is crossing, make sure that your foot is not on that. If we get a mosquito in my home and I want to kill, my mother will say, no, 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 no. Just open the door, that will go off. That is what the value system that we have. So then what happens? People start abusing that, and others do suffer, which is like you are seeing it in India itself. You may see Brahmins is a poor Brahman who is cleaning, like, whatever the job he's been doing it on the
Toilet.
context and the other caste. And this has become a dynasty. We were against dynasty. We talk about the Congress party is doing the dynasty. Here, the reservation, it is not, give it to the people, those who are financially not stable. Give it to them. It's not any caste, no color, no religion. But this has become a vote bank. Coming back to US itself, like, again, when comes elections, we just see that, oh, 1 million vote means like guaranteed by the 1 million Muslim votes guaranteed by. So then we see, because there are definitely going to be compromises. Who's going to suffer? Ultimately, our own community at large is going to suffer. Are we going for a healthy community? In today's time, when we are talking about where the world is a small little village, where there is so much infrastructure available, where there is so much technology, even if we are talking about that, that is shameful. Let this be US, let this be India, or anywhere in the world. My three minutes over. Thank you.
So nice of you, Rakesh Tiwari ji. Actually, just only just one liner. I'll just enrich you the new time frame institute we have fixed. First round 3 minutes, second round 2 minutes, and third round 2 minutes. So automatically, just we will have control ourselves, and so we can frame like this. So this is just the same question to human rights, politics, with reference to Canada. How do you think? How do you analyze?
Well, thanks, Kumar Rakesh ji, and all the fellow panelists. Uh, my 3 minutes has just started now. I would like to say only one thing. Please don't limit me only to Canada. I do live in Canada, but I do come from great
Sir, I
Bharat.
just because you are living in Canada, but
Yeah,
you
that's
can just with Canada you can start.
yeah.
We can go the global
Sir, you can
perspective.
answer me later,
No,
but
no,
let me.
sir. Sir,
But
I'm taking only. I am just taking your 10 seconds
I know.
now. I am just. Yeah,
Okay.
please,
Well,
so no, no
thank
issue.
you, thank you.
Yeah,
So no.
as I living in India, so I can start living as for the world
Yeah,
also.
same way,
Yeah.
same way,
This is the
same way.
global perspective.
Similarly,
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
I enjoy the both countries. I enjoy the both countries. One is my Janbhumi, another is my Karmbhumi, and actually
Yeah.
half part you can say that my youth till 26, 27 year I was over there, but that's not the question. The question is about human rights, politics, and global society. So when we talk about human rights in Hindi, which is called Manavadhikar, so you that and I agree with Vandana ji when she mentioned that when we talk about black lives or this life or that life, every life matters. Every life. Once we start respecting every life, our life also gets respected. So that's the attitude it should be. In modern present day, on the name of society, on the name of nation, and not on the name of God knows so many things. We are restricting the human rights, especially the responsible. Those people who are responsible, they are the politicians. So they are coming from this name to that name. So the free speech, which is right of every human being, as long you are not abusing other person verbally or any way, it is your right to speech. Definitely, global society. When we are mentioning about it, when we are talking about it, uh, all global, we became global only in that way for the trade and commerce. Most of the things, we are still in our ghetto, in our own ghettos. So, but at the same time, we do have to raise the voice as we are speaking and raising the voice for the Afghani people. Although none of us are Afghani, but we are raising the voice over there for that. Similarly, Vandana, we will be raising the voice for Black lives too, and for everywhere. That's what is human being, and not only for human beings, for others too. Politicians, while and the power, they want to curtail our rights, human rights of basic freedom, movement, and all those things. So, on the name of visa, now on the name of other restrictions, somewhere I'll definitely say European countries, they have developed something, and that is smartness of them. I must salute them for that, because they have opened their borders so they can do the. Europe is doing the trade, business, and entertainment, every human interaction all together with each other. Same thing we should be applying here, in other rest of the world too. And politicians, then their rights need to be put, I will say,
Okay.
they need
Okay.
to be put in a box, or properly they should be used.
So cross 4 minutes, sir. Four and a
Wow.
half. Thank you, sir.
Just give me the rank, sir.
Thank you.
Sorry
Thank
about
you.
it.
Thank you,
But
sir. So, Alok ji, just with same perspective, human rights politics
no.
with reference to Spain and Europe, and then the global society. How do you think, analyze, and how which country is the best in the maintain the human rights? How they are just owing what should be the theory of equality, as we always advocate according to our Indian constitution and the global phenomena.
Okay, if we take from what Tiwari said, that the politicians are the ones who, normally are the hindrance in applying of the human rights. Let's also see that politicians are also the persons who make, who have historically decided on what human rights are. For example, if we talk about Europe, so there is a very famous document called Magna Carta, which was signed between the King George, I think his name is John of England, and it was signed with the Church of England, saying that the rights of the church would not be, uh, you know, um, abolished or overrun by the king. And after some time, like nobody followed this. Neither the church agreed, did what they wanted to do, and the other way around. We talked to another gentleman. His name was Bartholomew De Casas. He was a landowner. He was also a priest, and he was a Spaniard who had gone to Latin America to, you know, uh, to preach, and also to after the discovery of America, and then the ships were sent, and then it became a colony, and then the trade started off, and the slavery trade also started off, and there was other, like, then the human angle came in, and he saw that lots of landlords who were basically, in a way, people who had come from Europe and they had landed up there, and they had, by the force of the gun, because the others, they did not have the power which the Europeans had. And in those days, Spain and Portugal were the superpowers of Europe. And they started, exploiting the human beings there as animals when it was for the slavery trade. And of course, then they were tilling the land or whatever they were doing. So there was exploitation, and there was exploitation of women also. Raping was very common. Anybody could pick up any woman, like I'm talking about Spaniards or a Portuguese. And he felt very moved by this, and then he wrote a book which came back, and it came to the understanding of the king, and then he suddenly realized that certain human rights have to be followed. So it is not that the politicians have to be blamed; they are also to be are there to be appreciated, But always somebody like us has to be sitting there and telling them this is wrong, this is right. So because we have the ear to the ground, and they live in their own ivory houses. So when we talk about the modern Universal Declaration of Human Rights, then we talk about UN and other things. But before that, I like to talk about India also. Like, it's a very strange thing, and it's come to my head most of the time, that if chess was invented in India, how is it that we never kill the king? We just do a checkmate, and after that, the game ends. The king is never killed. Now, this happens is when Alexander the Great, he comes and he's given a checkmate by Porus. Alexander is not killed. He's sent back home. And the history, the way the Europeans have told us, is different from the real history. But then you write your own history. And to my knowledge, Alexander lost the war, and then he's given a lesson in humanity, and he's sent back. And not only humanity, if you see what are the last things before, when Alexander gets to know that he's going to die, he knows, and he was attacked by certain people on his way back home. He says that wherever I go, first of all, put my hands open, and then wherever I pass by, all the wealth which I've created, just leave it there, and I want a very simple doom. If you see what Alexander says is very much in tune with the Hindu thought.
Okay.
Whatever you have here, you're going to
already crossed the 3 minutes limitation, actually.
Okay. So
thank you,
I'm leaving it at that. That is the base of the human rights in the world.
Thank you, sir. Now, just turn off Anita ji. Anita ji, with reference to India, that is our Bharat. That is to name the unique country in the world. So whatever is, we should accept. So my just request: how does you analyze the human rights activists, so-called human rights activists, play role to make noise and violence with reference to India and that comparative to the global society?
Look, the Alok ji has already given answer that India believes in Sanatani Parampara, and in Sanatani Parampara we always moved with each and everyone's right, not only human. Either it's punchy, it's a bird, it's a animal, it's our dog, street dog, the cow. We have given all bites. When we have cultivated our society, we went through all the systems that each and every living thing of this world should be respected, and it should be all the right to live their life. Yes, we know that somehow in mid-era, few wrong the customs has introduced by the few society, and which has dragged by the Western world and the Mughal era, that Sanatani Dharma is nothing like they believe in the upper caste and lower caste. This is only the Hindu Dharma. This is only the Indian culture. This is not like that. Till date, if take as an example as you and me, when we go through the road and when we see that some deprived person, he needs or she needs something, you always care for them. In COVID only, government has, whatever the government has done, it's apart from any discussion. What you have done for your society, what I have done for my society, we forget over that. Maybe my job can be go, and my husband's job can be go. We started serving our neighborhood, that the stray dog should not be with empty stomach. My sabji wala, that beggar who was, maybe earlier that beggar was coming to you and you have denied that jao aage jao. But during this COVID era, we have given each and every Jew that they have the right to live, and we distributed and spreaded all the love and affection and whatever they need in this era. So I believe that India has a culture who believes the most in the human right, not only
Okay,
human
thank you.
right of the living things,
Thank
right of the living things.
Okay, thank you. So nice. Just you stated accordingly what the Indian ethos. Vandana ji, there is so many stories just we have seen and we have read. And United States, the rights of black citizens and rights of the equality. Just if you see, and recently last U.S. election, we have seen the so many cases for the just uh, uh, black has been just tortured like that, and so many movements and so many agitation were there. With reference to all, do you think there is still in US they are maintaining the human rights as they stated?
As I previously also spoke about that, because human rights should not stay in paper. Governance can do their own role, but it should be in the modern society. It should come within. It is not about that Harvard degree or from IIT degree. It should be an education which should be inculcated in individuals. When we talk about humanity prevailed to an extent, Anita ji was mentioning about the COVID. On the contrary to it, we saw these many humans, we saw these many inhumans, those who were hoarding things. Let this be here because as if tomorrow is not going to come. That is also a story in Bharat, to be honest. When we talk, when it comes within, when it is, I just said no degree, but the education, that is very, very important. And it has to be in your books. No, it has to start from your home. As we always say, sharing is caring. When we talk about the philanthropic work, like, this community where we are living, Western, nobody can beat them, to be honest. Like, they go haywire. Like, let this be Doctors Without Borders. Let this be, like, sending help. It's not only to Bharat, it is to anywhere. Coming back to that, we did have a president who served for 8 years, 2 full-year terms. I'm talking about President Obama.
Obama,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. So how he got these elections, we all know that. Like, it was because America was looking for change, change, change. Then what happened? What happened after that? Because the people, majority of the people from his own community are not very happy about like what they have done. President Obama accepts the Nobel Prize within few days of it. On what basis the Nobel Prize was given to him? Within, like, so that itself, like, you just see, because you say that you cannot, like, a color is not going to come, means it has
Yeah.
gone in the heads of people at that very level. So this has to go from the grassroots moment. When we see uh, about this Black Life Matters, I was holding the flag, every life matters. Everybody was like, Vandanaji, what is this? I said, no, I'm still going to say that you have law enforcement officers, if you are telling them to come on your knees, and I'm watching that live, I mean, like, because that was during the,
Okay.
so who is going to be responsible tomorrow if you are having a trouble? Like, they are saying cut down the budgets on that, but America's system of 911 is one of the best in the world, I must say that. If my mother fell down, before even I could call my brother in California, I had the ambulance at my door. So for those kind of things, to maintain those, we
Yeah.
need to have like a very good education system which teaches every life is precious. My 3 minutes
So,
over.
so nice of you. So, Alok ji, just as mentioned Vandana ji and Anita ji and Tiwari ji, just the theory of equality also relate to the theory of humanity and human rights. One. So, how do you just define with reference to European uh, politics how they are maintaining the rights of human? I don't know what's problem today. The connectivity problem. So I'll take the question for Rakesh Tiwari. Then when Alok ji come, then you'll apply the same question. Just Tiwari ji, theory of equality, Canada and just American affairs and the globally. How just you analyze, how think. Still, there need to just restructure, re-strong the human rights policies, or they are just going well. Unmute yourself, Tiwari.
Uh, okay, thank you.
Please, please.
In my humble understanding, is the simplest thing to do, but yet it the most hard uh, thing to do at the same time. Uh, we have International Human Rights Day we celebrate, and universal human rights have been declared in according to the United Nations.
10th December by United
Okay,
Nations. Yeah, yeah.
so the whole world they stand for that. Means nobody opposes it. The no, right to life, right to liberty, right to equality, right of freedom of speech, and all those universal human rights are there. In my humble understanding, every country it should be in every country's enforcement law. Means nobody means every single citizen should have that right and can proclaim that right, can defend that right in the court of law when it comes to. We know that the moment, especially when we talk about our so great Bharat, created by India, created by Britishers, the moment you open your mouth and mention law to a policeman, you say, "Humko kanun sikhate ho." Means they are basically they have been appointed. They are getting paid to
No,
uphold the
you are
law.
quoting. You are quoting from the India stream or the Canada stream.
Canada, you cannot miss. If anybody, when we're talking, I'm just giving an example. In
Okay.
Canada, when we are talking about, if any, miss, and that part, US and Canada, they both stand at the equal footing. That every individual's rights, if somebody try to violate, if you threaten somebody, you can be arrested. If you touch you slap somebody, you can be arrested. Definitely, miss. You have so the law comes to protect your right as a civilian. Okay, if somebody is threatening you, assaulting you, so all those things are there.
So,
And
because time is going over, do you think in Canada, just with reference to Canada and other parts, do you think that still the rules of human rights are maintaining?
compared to the whole world, I will say 90% for sure.
90%, but not giving 100%.
Oh, no, sir.
So I'll just take the Anita ji.
Oh, no.
How just you, Anita ji, how just you analyze in India the rights of human and human rights are maintaining accordingly as per law enacted by the government of India and the state government?
Yeah.
भैया यहाँ तो हर कोई अपना ह्यूमन राइट ले लेता है तो
Oh my God. What an answer. So nice.
so
Great.
I just want to say that India is even the police has no right to violate any right of any human being. You know that so many times the court of martial has set up for the army personnel also, and the policemen are also in jail if they have done any brutality with anyone. So the law is very perfect over here. We all know that the constitution has very vast in India, and apart from that, maybe you can say that yes, we live life with all liberty, not only police personnel, the general people also. They if police enforce them to follow the rule, जनरल पुलिस हमको क्या सिखाने आए हो, हमने सीखने सीखने वाले हैं, चलो हटो. तो this is so I am agree with Vandana ji ki every human life matters. So the life of policemen also matters. The life of army personnel also matter. In Kashmir, we have seen that international bodies, they were raising voice that human right violation in Kashmir, human right violation in Kashmir because of the APSA. But what about the army personnel? Like our thousands of army personnel, they have given their life to protect the border, and they have killed by the terrorists, and they killed very brutally. So all lives matter. I will go with Vannaji. In India
Okay.
also, sometimes it happens that some people take advantage, but it doesn't like that. Ki here the law doesn't matter. It matters for
Okay.
each and
Thank you.
everyone.
So nice of you. Alok ji, just your connectivity just lost. So that's my question was just on the way. So the question was waiting for you as soon as you just came and just we see. So just the theory of equality and just theory of morality, just related to the human rights.
Sure.
How do you define Spain and the other parts of Europe? And so many European countries has been hue and cry many times just to maintain the human rights, like there's Germany, Belgium, and either Spain and Ireland, just Netherlands.
Now, the European society is also not a very homogeneous society. If we talk about the European Union, if you see, like, there are countries which are more bent on the human rights, and then there are countries which do not follow the human rights to the hilt. So we can say that there are countries which are. When we talk about human rights, we basically talking about democratic countries. We're talking about some undemocratic countries. Then obviously it does not apply. So the democracy also in Europe also is not something which has been existing all the time. Democracy, there are democratic countries which can be considered fully democratic countries, then there are partially democratic countries, and there are also countries which are in the process of becoming democratic. Now, the biggest challenge, at least what the papers say and all that, and I have seen that there is also a bias towards these countries, are the countries which belong to the previous USSR. And because they are new into the system of democracy, so those rights and what rights are. But I think in general, if you talk about Europe, the standards are very high. Uh, I hear some background noise from some microphone, so I don't know where this is coming from. But anyway, so the standards of human rights in Europe are very high. But if we go by what are the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, there are about 30 articles in that. Not everybody and anybody is going to follow that, and that there are times that majority, but there is a majority consensus that these would be followed. Now, if we come from there, and if we see that the application of the human rights vis-a-vis the application, in case there is some kind of infringement, then how do you apply it? So we just have two methods of doing it. We have the police, and we have the judiciary. Now, in general, at least in my experience, it is there that the police is working very, very hard. But then this factor of the human element, and at times the human rights are there, but never talking about the human rights, like Anita just said, of the personnel which is applying those laws. So most of the time what happens is that if there is a criminal, he goes in, the police people or the other paramilitary forces, they
2 minutes max.
Okay, they try to implement it, but the judiciary, it works against them. So that is demoralizing them, demoralizing for them. This is what is happening in Europe, which means for me, the uniformed forces, they're working very hard, they're doing a very good job, but the application of those laws, which should be there, it is not there in Europe.
Yeah, the last round. I'll ask each and every, just start from Rakesh Tiwari. Do you think the human rights and politics should go together or separately? Straight question, straight answer. That's you, sir, please.
Let me say, sir. Let me say this state question. Even United Nations head cannot answer, but I will try. I will say, in this world, what is working right now, jiski lathi uski bhans. Means you have a gun.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. United Nations already answered. My question is very simple. Human rights and politics can go together or not, sir. There is a different forum for human rights in United Nations, as I know, as you also know. So they are already answered. Alok ji, just
you cannot take out one thing from the other. The politicians are there. Even when there is a forum there in the United States, it has to be carried out by certain people. Those who take the post there, it is the politicians only who take the post there.
Okay,
but NGOs have a very good role to play in this, and that they are doing.
The human rights and politics can get together or not?
Governance has, a honest governance. They will go together. They cannot be separated, and they should run like two lines of the railway line. One goes, but complementary to each other.
That's nice.
That's what it is.
That's nice. Now, Anita ji, last.
In my view, if you will talk about on international forum, the human right is is an international tool to use against anyone which they want to screw. So
Okay, okay.
yes,
Thank you.
yes,
So
it's
nice
a
of you.
good. If you have a good governance, the human right is there. If you don't have, then you have to bear.
Okay, so nice of you, all of you, just to participate in this program. Let's try to control the time frame. It's almost late for
Yeah,
about
I see that.
7, 8 minutes, but so nice of you. We just control ourselves to our thoughts, just to. But we will state it now. So and will spoken by all of you. So human rights, politics, and global society as a living wind, and reference to the Europe, America, and the rest part of the world. Human rights is important. Human rights and politics can go together for the better governance, or can go parallelly also for the transparent governance. So nice of you. Thank you. Just you participate in this program, and see and subscribe and share the Global Governance News TV. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Jai Bharat.